Welcome back everyone to r/Entitled Parents. Another day, another dose of Karens for you. Today we'll be reading 3 stories. In the first one, a Karen in a subway throws a fit. The second one is about OP calling CPS and finally standing up to his abusive mother. And the last one is about an entitled neighbor that tries to tell OP when they can and can't use their cars because it wakes up their 40-year-old son that likes to sleep all day. So let's jump in and insert whatever cute animal I'm gonna put here as I ask you to kindly subscribe. This one's called How an Entitled Mom Tried to Get Me Fired on My First Day Working at Subway Because I Did Not Know Her Order. I'm 16 and so recently I applied and got a job at Subway. Today was the first day of my job and it was a relatively slow day. And it was almost close to closing, and apparently every Tuesday they have someone come in and order the exact same thing. A plain Italian BLT. But it being my first day, I did not know that. So the woman comes in and I think to myself, I can probably handle this. She walks up to the counter and says, I'll get the regular. Me, not knowing what their order is, says, Sorry ma'am, I'm new here, so I don't know what your normal order is. Would you mind telling me? She gives me a glare that makes me think to myself, did I just kill her child? She immediately starts yelling at me. Just because you're new here doesn't mean you shouldn't know my order. My order is the first thing they should teach you. I say, ma'am, look, I'm sorry I don't know your order, but if you could tell me what it is, I will gladly make it. She says, why should I tell you if I'm a regular? My son is in the hospital and this is how you're gonna treat me? By pretending to be new? By this point, she was practically screaming at me, and the other person working with me came back out and just told me to head to the back while he does her order. As I'm heading to the back, I could just hear her screaming, you should fire him. My son is in the hospital and I have never been insulted this much at this Subway. Maybe you should start teaching your employees better. I couldn't hear much after that as I had gone into the back, but after around 30 minutes, the person I was working with came back and said he had to call the police because she would not leave until I was fired. He said that he would call the manager. He pretended to call the manager and made statements like, you need to fire, insert my name here. He did not know Entitled Parents' order. He made those statements, then he called the police since she would not leave until the manager showed up and fired me. He said to her, he'll be here any minute. A few moments later, the police were there. He came back and apologized to me for that, as it's not like this every day. So yeah, an entitled parent tried to get me fired. Now that entitlement is through the roof, thinking that you're such a special and important customer that as soon as they hire a new employee, the first thing they should teach them would be her regular order. And on top of that, she's even using her own sick son that's in the hospital just as an excuse to be nasty. If that's even true. It kinda just sounds like the type of person that gets off on bad things happening to people around them, cause it gives them an excuse to go around and tell people about it to get pity. This one's called Entitled Mom Starts Screaming at Me for Calling Child Protective Services on Her. Karma fell like a bus on her. Well, here goes my story. Happened about 5 days ago, but just for context, you're gonna need a bit of backstory. My mother is a woman who thinks she is entitled to do what she wants to her children, which means that my little brother and I were psychologically, emotionally, and sometimes physically abused as little kiddos. I was held in her house all day with her and I wasn't allowed to go anywhere except school, so I couldn't escape, which means I haven't experienced the real world until recently. The abuse has lasted for about 13 years, until I finally found the courage to put my balls on the dinner table and verbally hold my grounds against my mom and protect my small bean of a brother. I also started to educate him the proper way, like how to set boundaries and not take crap from people who overstep them. Bonus points, mother wasn't pleased. For a couple of months, everything was going as smoothly as it could, and then the old coronavirus hit and we were told to stay locked together. And oh dear mother took advantage of us being within her arm's reach to start a whole new sequel of her BS. In the span of a few months with her, I reached my limits and called CPS, and for some obscure reasons, she got the new. Now let the party start. I just got released from the hospital. I was there for a whole other story, and I called CPS while in the comfort of my not so good looking hospital bed. I'm at the front door of my mom's house, ready to get my butt beaten. I opened the door and there I found my mom, drunk off her butt in her sofa, hellfires in her eyes. I swear I could feel the heat from the doorway. She gets up and walks over to me with all her dignity left and spits out, I am so mad at you right now. Now, I don't like the tone she was using, so I guess I didn't think too much before responding, and I said, and so am I now. Say what you wanted to my face before I turn my back on you. Please note that while I was mad as hell in this conversation, I tried my best to be civil and act like a decent human being. I didn't want to say anything that might end up in a physical fight. She wouldn't win. But I don't want to beat up some old small lady because, nope, unlike entitled mom, I have values. At that point, she's getting more and more agitated, spouting some incoherent phrases I still don't understand to this day. Entitled Mom just storms out of the room to pour herself another glass while screaming, "We can't even beat our effing kids these days, and now my own child is telling everyone I'm a bad mother." More incoherent stuttering, and then says, "Is that what you want now, to ruin my life?" Ah yes, the typical, "Oh, I am a bad mother." You know, the sentence they use to guilt trip their kids into feeling bad for her. That's the one. It doesn't work on me anymore. I respond, "You ruined my childhood and hurt my younger brother. We'll be even." She then proceeded to throw a fist against the table next to my blunt self and says, "What did I do to you, huh? Say it." And I respond, "Okay, let's start with..." She cuts me off. "Oh, don't you dare talk back to me. I am your mother and I am telling you that you're lying." And I say, "Oh, does that make you angry? That I have a voice and a conscious mind? I know you stopped loving your children when they started to speak their mind. No, it's because you are my kids and I get to do what I want with you. I fed and put a roof over your heads. Isn't that enough?" She suddenly changes the subject as if it actually became clear to her that she was running out of arguments. "So what did you say to CPS? I want to know now what lies you fed them, you ungrateful child." Her face turned even more redder when I decided to not respond to her question immediately. She knows what she did to us, so there's no secrets. Note that I am also making a crappy smug smile while maintaining the silence, just to rile her up a bit more. And now, ladies and gentlemen, and all genders included, this is where things really go to crap. I say, "Well, first, I told them about your alcoholism. That was enough to attract their attention to you. I took pictures of your empty bottles of alcohol as proof. I also have recordings of you insulting and menacing my younger brother recently. I also told them all about the abuse you had us go through when we were kids. You're merely getting what you deserve. Oh, so now I'm not allowed to educate my children? How dare you record me without my consent? I knew I should have hit you harder like back in my days so you wouldn't become a rebel." Ain't gonna lie, what she said just really hurt me right in the feelings, but I didn't back down. I couldn't for the sake of my sanity and because I wanted to show Entitled Mom who I am. A bit of revenge never hurts, right? I say, "Yeah, sure. You know what? Let's see what CPS thinks of this." She goes on, "I did not do anything to you. You're just an oversensitive, spoiled brat. You tell lies to everyone to make me feel bad." More blurred speech. I don't speak Karen nor drunk. I decided to quickly cut her off to make a point, the final one. I now have enough proof to make everything stop, to make the pain she inflicts to us end. I say, "I'm gonna make this clear. We're done. I am done. I'm currently recording all of your crap talking. Karma is finally coming for ya. We're done." I said loud and clear before showing her the red button on my screen so she could see the proof of how bad of a freaking maniac human being she is. She drops her glass on the table, stares at me in utter disbelief as I hold my phone up, the red button still pulsing to indicate it is still up and going. 10 seconds pass while her brain restarts, and she then immediately bursts the front door open and storms out. I see my younger brother open his bedroom door a couple of minutes after all of this BS. He was crying. He all but just ran up to me to ask, "Are you okay? Did she hurt you? Are we getting help? Where did mom go? She's gonna get hurt outside." I don't know why younger brother was so adamant to know about Entitled Mom's whereabouts and general safety. I think he just had a golden heart. I wanted to cry with him at that very moment, but I needed to stay strong for my brother. I said, "Just don't worry about her. She'll come back, unfortunately. Let's make dinner for ourselves. Do you want pasta?" And this is where my story ends, making pasta for my little brother and I. Man, this story hits hard. Good for you, OP, for finally standing up to her. It probably took a lot of courage to do that. Well, I wish you and your brother the best, and I really hope things work out for you guys. And keep being the awesome sibling you are. You sound like the kind of role model that your brother really needs in his life. So keep doing what you're doing. This one's called Entitled Mom Hates Our Trucks and Cars. So a little backstory. My husband and I are drag racers, and we have 2 fairly loud cars, along with a dually with straight exhaust. We don't rev our engines because we want to be a-holes. We start them when we have to move them out if we're working on them. Neither is that often, as they mainly stay in the trailer. They are race cars. Our neighbor has a son who lives with her. He's 40, doesn't work, and likes to sleep all day. Entitled Mom came to our house and told us, didn't ask, but told us, that we aren't allowed to start our cars until after her son is awake, and he usually gets up around 4 p.m. Our state laws say that we can make loud noises between the hours of 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Now we know other neighbors have smaller children, and so we don't start our race cars until after 10 a.m. So we are within our rights, but she demands that we do not wake her son up because he needs his sleep. He's a 40-year-old man. Now, I could understand why she would be mad if we took them out every day and parked next to her house in our driveway, but we don't. We just shake our heads in disbelief that the neighbor who has a grown adult child complains, but none of the 9 neighbors who have young children have said anything to us, except, "That sounds good," or "Nice cars." Now, I understand not everyone is into cars, but that is not the case for her son. He bought a car that he's fixing up himself. I'll never understand entitled parents. So I could understand the frustration if someone was revving their engines at like 7 or 8 in the morning, because even though that's legal, it's still pretty early to be doing something like that, but this guy sleeps until 4 p.m. I feel like if it's that late in the day, it's pretty much free game to do what you want. To an extent, of course, as long as you're not obnoxious about it, because even if it's legal to make a lot of noise, no one will want to listen to your engine all day if you just sit there revving it. But like OP said, they don't do it just to be obnoxious, it's when they're moving it to work on it, so as much as I'm not a fan of neighbors with loud vehicles, I'm definitely on OP's side. And that's it guys, thank you for watching, have an awesome day, stay beautiful, and I'll see you later.